at the portal, then it makes us wonder just exactly what we are doing. So we have Achike Chude join the conversation. Achike, great to have you join us.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yeah, Achike, I hope you can hear us clearly now.
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So just before you came in, Achike, we were talking about this bombshell we were hit by INEC, saying over 1 million people registered not once, but twice, which is in complete contravention of what the voter registration. This happened during the cleaning up of the voter registration. Happened within 2019 till date. What would you call this, Achike? Is this a setback of some sort that has hit INEC, which is preparations for the 2023 general elections?
Of course, it's a setback. Even one voter, I mean, in the advanced democracies of the world, they know the importance of one voter. And so politicians, when they are accosted by the voting public on the streets, talk to them with respect because they know how far that one vote can go. So in Nigeria, with what INEC is telling us, we're talking of about 1.6 million votes. I mean, voters that will be disenfranchised as a result of this terrible mistake by INEC. And so it is significant because 1.6 of the total registered voters in Nigeria is significant. And I don't know why well, maybe one would say that it's a good thing that they didn't hide it, that they came out, because eventually what is done in the dark will be made known in the day, sooner than later. So perhaps it was in order to preempt that, the fact that one day we are going to know about what happened, that they are coming out to tell us. For what they are saying, they are not in any way going to remedy the situation, but they are just going to, by implication, what it means is that those people who have been disenfranchised as a result of their own problems, as a result of their own mistakes, will remain disenfranchised. I was expecting that INEC would say that they will look away to ensure that that corrections are made, so that this 1.6 million people will put back into the database of INEC ready to vote. But it is a shock.
And interestingly, yesterday the National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, was asked by a national daily whether, since the multiple registration is an electoral offense, if they were going to prosecute those who had been found culpable. And it got me thinking, I mean, over 1 million people, how on earth are they going to go about that? But what he said was that they were going to wait until the end of the current voter registration, which is sometime around June, before they come up with a decision. So some of the factors which they put, which you've mentioned, it could have been INEC's fault, because they say that they're carrying out investigations to find out that, because they found that some reports saying that some of the INEC commission staff were responsible for what happened, and in other instances it was the people who voted who tried to deliberately game the system. What do you think about INEC trying to remedy this through prosecuting those who've been found guilty, whether they are the people or their staff members?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a very big situation with INEC, and we are not saying, I have not seen anything about INEC that tells us that INEC is not existing in Nigeria that is rife with endemic corruption and challenges and problems. So INEC is part of Nigeria. The people who work in INEC are part of Nigeria. Again, I think what troubles me really is the issue of a double registration that they are talking about. We are talking about a system that is capable of weeding out double registration. And so it is worrisome if we are going to have a number of people still engaging in double registration. That tells you that there is something wrong with the technology that they are using, that it wasn't able to weed out such duplication. That is worrisome. And then again, the issue of INEC officials that have compromised and that are sabotaging the system from within. Obviously, it is said that when a crime goes unpunished, the heart of the people is filled with rebellious thoughts. And so if people are not punished, if people who are caught are prosecuted successfully and are not seriously punished, other people who are coming behind will not learn any lesson. And this is what we have seen continually. We have had instances of serious violation of electoral the law surrounding elections in this country by INEC officials. Nothing has happened to them. We have also seen people who have run afoul of the electoral law in this country, politicians. Nothing has happened to them. We see people, throwing money here and there on the streets, bribing officials, and we know that these things, as captured by the electoral law, are wrong. But nothing has happened, and so the heart of the people is filled with all kinds of mischief because they know that they are going to get away with it. I'm not saying that INEC will solve all the problems of Nigeria, but the ones that they can do, look for high-profile people who have committed various breaches of electoral laws in the country, and prosecute them diligently and successfully, and make sure that they are punished so that others will see. But then, INEC will tell us that the problem does not lie with them. That most times they refer cases to the Nigerian police because they are not the ones that will prosecute, and so. The police find it very difficult to prosecute some of these people, and that's an issue. That's a problem. People are talking about breaking INEC into different parts because they are doing so much. But I'm not so sure that the issue of prosecuting electoral crimes should lie solely with the Nigerian police without any serious input from INEC.
All right, Achike, before I let you go, very quickly, I also know too that by virtue of what you do in civil society, you've also had the opportunity to observe elections, the general elections in different dispensations. And one of the big improvements has been with the technology. INEC tells us that because of the BVAS that we're using, a technology which is being deployed, the chances of multiple voting is extinct, cannot happen. But they have an issue with the voter register, which is what they are trying to clean up. What would you say it's as very important? A number of people in civil society said, we should be able to have a clean copy of the voter register without, because this has always been a controversial issue. What are your thoughts in terms of what we're doing with the voter register?
Yeah, well, let's hope that they do a very good job of cleaning the voters register. Right. Look, you should know the nature and character of our politicians. They are very devious, and again, with people without conscience. They have a one-track mind, and theirs is political power, regardless of the means with which they achieve it. So any opportunity to manipulate the system or subvert the system, you can be sure that they will be in on it, and they will do that working with people within INEC, mercenaries within INEC who are also there for commercial purposes. And so INEC, the management of INEC has to be a step ahead of these people to ensure that that whatever they do, that they have the capacity to forestall it. Then again, the double voting, just like you said, we hope that the BVAS machine, because this is what they're telling us, will be able to do that. But we have seen several times where the BVAS machine fails in the field during voting. We have seen that several times. And each time INEC comes back with apologies. I think a lot of us within the civil society, especially those of us involved in observing elections, are actually tired of the excuses that INEC keeps on giving. This is about how many years since INEC was formed, established in the country. You will think that from one election cycle to the next election cycle, that the problems confronted in the previous election cycle would have been corrected in the next election cycle. So we can't keep on having a repetition of the past in the present and in the future. So they must be able to do much more. And we have resolved to hold them as accountable as possible and not also help in providing the kind of excuses we have done for them in the past.
All right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Thank you very much. We've trained our lenses this evening in the newsroom on the INEC Wahala from last week. And as we come down to 2023 general election, we can trust people like Achike Chude to keep us up to date with what is happening from the civil society point of view. Thank you very much, Achike Chude.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, and we will move quickly to the next story in the newsroom where we have... But before that, I go on WhatsApp. I see a comment here saying INEC should admit its limitations A good registration portal system should be able to run a data check before confirming successful registration. If INEC have biometric checking systems, as they claim, which validates fingerprints before allowing a voter to vote during elections, this same system should be able to run a quick check when a previously registered voter tries to register again. Great point you make, and we don't have to wait 2 years after to find out that some people try to game the system. I don't have your name, but thank you very much for the observation. The number on WhatsApp 0809597585 for you to send your comments to us. So quickly we move on to the next story, which is one we're very familiar with. On Saturday, there were observances in Abuja and Lagos and in some parts of the country, but majorly these two places. The 8th anniversary of the Chibok girls' abduction. For the 10th time, parents of the missing Chibok schoolgirls demanded the rescue of their words. On the 14th of April 2014, 276 girls of the Government Girls College Chibok were abducted from their school by Boko Haram fighters, while 110 of them were united with their parents between 2016 and 2018. There are still over 110 of them still missing. IOB is a member of Bring Back Our Girls group, it's a board member of the International Crisis Group, and also the host of Ideas with IOB, which happens on Friday. She was also at a sit-out at the Falomo roundabout with other members of the Bring Back Our Girls and the media who also were there. Great to have you, Ayo, join us this evening.
Good evening, Rahul.
And a happy Easter to you also. You know,
I wish you the same.
Thank you, Ayo. We did see the images of the Bring Back Our Girls group at the Federal Capital Territory as well as in Lagos. You were in Falomo where the sit-out happened, and I'm sure a lot of things were going through your mind in the 8th anniversary of the disappearance of the Chibok girls.
Yeah.
So tell us, what was the point the Bring Back Our Girls group was trying to make with the sit-out at Falomo on Saturday?
Well, Aro, I don't know if you know, but every Saturday that we can be there, we actually have a sit-out for the Chibok girls, and to remind people and to continue to call on the government to bring back our Chibok girls. And so this particular, whenever we come to one of these doleful anniversaries, we also make it a point to make a big song and dance about it, because 8 years is too long. And so the Bring Back Our Girls family, I mean, it's a movement. So it's really something that if you are interested and if you feel about the matter, then you turn up. And that's really all that's required. That you turn up and you participate in the meetings. And so on this particular Saturday, because it came the day after the 8th anniversary, the girls were kidnapped on the night of the 14th to 15th. So we held our usual Saturday sit-out on the 16th. And but of course we had many more people turning up because it was a particular occasion. And we had a special speaker who is one of the Chibok girls who had been released or who had been freed as a result of the negotiations by the government in, I think it was during the president's first term. And so she was there and she spoke, and it was really extremely moving actually to see her, and to see her sort of a young woman, just like any young woman that you would meet, but who had gone through so many years in the bush with the terrorists, and you could hardly and for her, there's always that element of, I wouldn't call it survivor's guilt, but the inability to forget that, because when the government, when she, in the group that she was in that was freed, it was a matter of, well, you pick lots about as to who is going to go and who will have to stay, because we're only allowed to take a certain number of girls. So you know that you are leaving others behind, and you're praying and hoping that, the government will sustain this momentum, and that these other girls will also soon be free, only to discover that, 4 years, 5 years down the line, that there is no further effort from government. And it's the same thing that all the parents and the survivors, or those who have been freed so far, are feeling, that why did the government run out of steam in the efforts to rescue the girls? Yes, we appreciate that there are so many other kidnappings and abductions that are going on, and no longer for any purported ideology, but simply in order to make money. But that doesn't mean to say that you should leave these other ones behind. We know that at least one of the girls who is still in captivity, she was able to get hold of a mobile phone. Halima is her name. She was able to get hold of a mobile phone and telephone her father. And she said that they were in a francophone country, and that there were 6 girls with her there in this captivity. So that was why at the Saturday meeting, Auntie Yemisi Ransom Kuti, who is also, she participates in the Bring Back Our Girls activities. She said that if you have friends, relations in these neighboring countries, Chad, Cameroon, Niger, Republic, then, ask them to keep their ear to the ground, so that there can be some attempt to bring these girls out.
Absolutely, and you think about it, Ayo, as we wrap up. I mean, gut wrenching, and talk about abductions that have happened since the Chibok girls' abduction. But this still be the bellwether, because it put Nigeria, unfortunately, on this ugly terror map incident of children being abducted. But now we're almost at the end of another administration. Began with the Goodluck administration and then moved into the Buhari administration. And to think about it, that there's still no closure for the families who are waiting to see their children. You think it's too much to ask that we can begin to say, for the next administration, if this one has run out of steam, on what they need to do to get all of the girls out?
No, I don't think it's too late. I think it's really unfortunate that because that question was asked of the Jonathan administration, and they did not have any coherent answer, that it was taken as this is the Bring Back Our Girls campaign is responsible for the ouster of the Johnson administration. And because the question is still being asked of the Buhari administration, and it's just that the issue of the Chibok girls had been subsumed in the larger issue of our collective security. I mean, I noticed today that the Lagos state government, in a completely, you would almost say a completely different context, is saying that the security and safety of our children in school is a matter of deep concern to us, and we are going to be responsible for the safety of our children in school. And I think that this is something that we need to take on board, whatever the context is, that our children that we entrust to schools have to be safe, because if they're not safe, then particularly where there is already societal and cultural pressure against the education of children, and particularly against the education of girl children, that you will find that we are cutting off our future by making it a difficult question, a difficult choice for parents to make if they want to send their children to school. And we need to understand that whatever other resources any country has, the biggest resource it has is its children, its people, and we can't afford to waste that resource by leaving it in a half-baked, half-developed state, which is what we do when we refuse to educate our children. So to me, it's really not just a matter of this administration or that administration. It's a matter of the future of this country and the future of the people in this country that we can't afford to let it slip. We have to keep on demanding that the government should bring back our girls, and that includes everybody, Daura girls, recent kidnapped victims, those who were kidnapped from the Zamfara College of Education or Technology, trained kidnapped victims. We have to eradicate this evil of mass kidnapping. Whether it's for ideology or for profit, we have to eradicate it from our country.
Right. And we're going to have to leave it at that. And, of course, join the clamor with the Bring Back Our Girls group that all of the abducted girls and even those not abducted in Chibok are brought back home and alive to their loved ones. Thank you very much again, Ayobe.
Thank you so much for keeping them at the forefront of people's memory.
Right. I'm sure Ayo will be in the studio. I'm not sure if it's this week coming in for Ideas with Ayo, but you can catch Ayo every Friday at 3:45. And thank you very much again, Ayo.
Thank you.
All right. Ayo will be a member of the Bring Back Our Girls group as well as a board member of the International Crisis group. We're going to go to our third story straight away. And in case you just joined us in the newsroom, which is what we do every Monday from 6:15. Ufoma Egbamunu and I will take you through the big stories, the dashboard view of all that's been happening, stories our newsroom has been covering, as well as stories which are outside. Sometimes even our correspondents are covering outside Lagos. It depends on how big the stories are. We'd love to hear from you also, too, on social media at Nigeria Info FM, as well as on WhatsApp 0809 597 5805. Also, those of you who are interested in giving us information in the newsroom and stories we can work on and get to as quickly as possible, you can call this number. That's 01465 7175. Again, 01465 7175. That's for the newsroom only, for you to send us information and stories we need to get to as quickly as possible. So I'm going to go on this quick break. When I come back, I'll tell you about the Lekki Concession Company and the party they were supposed to have on Saturday aborted because the tolls have been suspended. But stay with us in the newsroom.
We don't just break the news. We don't just give you the news.
Let's tell you that the race for the presidency is gathering more momentum.
Niger records 6 new COVID-19 deaths.
Nema says that the death toll is 38, that they've been able to pull out 38 bodies from the collapsed building.
In-depth analysis of events.
Let's not kid ourselves. Nigerians still vote on ethnic lines, and as a result, a northern candidate you would think on paper would have more chances.
Every time ASU has embarked on strike, the revitalization fund has often come up, and people have asked the question.
The Newsroom, Mondays 6:15 to 7 p.m. on your number one talk station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Well, welcome back, and it's 6:30, and we are halfway through our work, and still another big story we've been following, where it could, if it had happened the way we thought it should have happened, probably would have been our number one story here today. But of course, there's still lessons to be learned every time, so that we don't make the same mistakes as possible. So finally, the expected showdown between the Lagos State government and the NSAS activists over the resumption of the toll collection on the Ikoyi Link Bridge took a different turn. Call it an anticlimax following the postponement by LCC, which is the Lekki Concession Company. On Saturday, NSAS activists had planned to resist the resumption of tolling on the Ikoyi Link Bridge. The activists said it is unjust to resume business tolling when there is yet to be justice for those affected by the 2020 Lekki tollgate shooting. LCC had planned to commenced tolling of the Link Bridge on the 17th of April after a 15-day test run. However, the company released a statement on Friday announcing a suspension of the tolling. The company claimed it is to give residents more time to register for electronic toll devices. Emmanuel Owuka was preparing for the party only to have his invitation taken away. Emmanuel joins us together with Ayo Yinka Oni, who's with the Take It Back movement. I've been speaking with Ayo just before we came into the show. Interesting young activists. And it's great to see young activists get into the field. I mean, I did dread those days when people told Wole Soyinka when he was a septuagenarian, why aren't you on the street protesting? And I said, how dare you? I mean, this man's been protesting his entire youthful life. We, the young people, need to take up the gauntlet from there. And so, Ayo Yinka Oni, thank you very much for joining us in the newsroom.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and Emmanuel also too is here with us. So before I come to Ayo straight, let me get Emmanuel what you expected to have seen. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see. So your party ticket was taken from you.
Yes. So I had prepared myself, donned boots. Normally I would go with my native attires, but that day I had prepared, to go with the casual wear in case of anything I was going to solve. But then, when I saw the statement, I knew it was going to douse tensions. Yeah, I already saw activists on Twitter, tweeting about the statement and saying, "Oh, this is not nice." Some of them called it cowardice, on the part of the government, saying, "Oh, they knew what we had in stock for them, and they don't want to see that manifest, and that is why they are pulling back at the time minute." They called their excuses names, and it just deflected the whole thing. Yeah. So, regardless of that, I still visited the toll gate.
What did you see?
Yeah. So what I had expected to see was, a lot of vehicles, security vans, just like it was on the 1st of April. What we saw on the 1st of April, a lot of security men lined up along the toll gate. I had expected to see the Black Maria at the Lekki Phase 1 toll gate again and all the rest. But then I took a drive through and they were just there. Normally, like on the third day when I went on the 3rd of April, when I drove around that area, I could see that there was a less police presence, and that was what I noticed. On Saturday again, there was less police presence. It was not like they were warming up to the occasion, not like they were expecting anything. So it was just less. That was what was there. All
right, let me come to Ayo Yinka Oni, who's the activist here, and Ayo, I'm sure for you. I don't know whether to call what you probably had described this as a bittersweet, because you probably would say that it's because of the pressure you put on the state actors to have this suspended. But the statement doesn't say that. It says something else that it wants people to get. What's your reaction?
The government will always make statements, and they will always find a way to manage it. It's sad when a government feels that they shouldn't lose to the people. It's very sad. The people are actually the government. When you listen to them, it shows you are a wise government. So you don't have to begin to pick a farafare about it. You are suspended. What's there to suspend? We are supposed to be on the street because of the recommendation of the panel has not been met. Not even one. So that we are not on the street is because protest is not fun. I don't think the government think we like protest. I don't think you sit an activist that will tell you, "Oh, I like protest." No, protest is not fun, but it's just a last resort, because sitting down and looking at an action not being done is even worse. When people are not protesting, it's actually worse.
Okay. What were the things you wanted the government to see before? Let's not even talk about that. Whether the toll gate should be opened or not opened, but what was the reason the activists gave to the government, saying X, Y, and Z has to happen first?
Exactly. The recommendation of the panel was there were 32 recommendations,
right?
And many of them were so explicit. But one of the major things was, seeking out these victims and compensating them, both the ones that are dead and the ones that are alive, and also reaching out and releasing every victim that were arrested due to the NSAS protest. Let there be a fair trial and open trial. No, the government did not do that. We activists, lawyers are involved in NSAS have to be running up and down to secure the release of some citizens. Some of them spent a year plus in jail, and it was hell. It was like wanting to release 100 people. The government didn't make it easy for us. You understand? So they didn't do anything. And if the state government said, okay, they accept 11 of the recommendation, out of the 11 that they accepted, they have not done any. They said they put 14 to the federal government. The federal government, in fact, the federal government were even so bold to say they don't accept anything, of the panel that you set up by yourself. Now, when you now come in to say you want to open the Lekki Toll, it's like an insult to an existing injury that people are just managing and calming down. So it was actually based on that fact that we said no to the open of the toll gate.
Yeah. So there are obviously human rights issues which the activists have cemented the argument against the reopening of the toll gate. Interestingly, you also have an environmental background, I understand.
Yes.
So I guess they also too, if you hear things from the state government saying they want to deal with the issue of congestion, they also want for environmental goals and objectives to have the toll reopened. What are your thoughts on that one?
They are not dealing the issue of congestion because the toll itself is actually causing congestion, if you can see, and it's not helping the environment in any way. In fact, there's a lawsuit against the Lagos State government regarding that Lekki toll, and that lawsuit has it that the toll should not exist, that it is illegal. But we're in a Nigeria that Nigerians don't really try to take all these laws and check about it. People just want to go, let me just pay and pass and all that. But even regardless of NSAS, the tolling is actually illegal on itself.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'll come back to you. Emmanuel, you've had the opportunity to go and have a look at the toll. When you had events happen there, the activists. You've also had the opportunity to speak with commuters, people around the neighborhood. What have been their reactions to the face-off with the opening of the toll, or not the reopening of the toll? Has the arguments from the government won them over, or have they said together with the activists, we don't want this open for X, Y, and Z reason?
Okay, so my conversation with them shows that a lot of them support the movement by the activists. They support the other way around. A lot of them want to don't want the tolls resumed on that bridge, or tolls at all. They don't want the toll. Both the Lekki residents, commuters, motorists that ply that area, they feel they feel it's not in their interest, to have the tolls back. They feel like, okay, the tolling has been there for like the past 8 years. What have we achieved with it? So those questions, they raised those questions, and they were verbally and they were strongly against it. However, some of them are of the opinion like, let's just do it. We're not happy with it, but then let's just do it, because if they say they want to do it, they do it, and government always win. I remember clearly someone told me, he said, my business will suffer, if there should be an issue here. If there should be a protest, we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day, and it's going to affect my business. If the toll is there and I do not agree to it, and I say, okay, let me take the alternative route, my business is also going to suffer.
These are people who work within the neighborhood.
Yes, these are people who own businesses around the Lekki Phase 1 axis. So they apply let me take, for instance, a logistics company.
Good.
Okay, so it's easier for the logistics company to go through the link bridge rather than to go through Ozumba Madiwe, because there's a lot more traffic on that road getting to the Phase 1 when you can just take the diversion and then you get it. So for them, it's less time consumption, and they say it's better for them, basically, and that is just their stand. So they're not in support of the tolling, but then they feel like there's nothing much we can do, and they have this phrase, you can't win the government.
All right. Oh, we're going to open the phone lines in the next 5 minutes because it's a special edition of the newsroom. We have time to play with, thankfully. I mean, Ufoma probably be crying like, hey, these guys have so much time. But we open the phone line for 5 minutes. We're taking calls. And interestingly, Emmanuel was at the sit out for the Bring Back Our Girls group at the Falomore roundabout.
Yeah, Falomore Square.
Falomore Square. Falomore roundabout. It's not called Falomore Square.
Oh.
So he was there, so he probably also can help with some of the questions you have. We've had with IOB. And the other story, which is about the INEC story, interestingly also too, Ayoyinka has a background in the politics, so of course, directly to he's involved in one way or the other with what is happening in terms of the elections, having been also involved in activism in previous elections. So I'll let you know once you can open the phone lines, and I'm sure they can share their 50 kobo on any of those things. So I think I'm going to read a message here, and it's something I'm going to ask you. So someone says, crossover. Someone says here, what was the objectives of NSAS about closing down businesses to stop police brutality? Was closing down tolling of the 5 demands sent to Buhari then? If the police then was at the center of the matter, they're back to work and other government departments are back to work, why should private business employ more than 500 direct workers in the country where youth need employment be shut down? It seems people are looking for cheap popularity. Ronsi, I was having a discussion with you earlier on about the role of civil society, and I never knew sort of thing will come out. There appears to be a lack of understanding of what activism for civil society in a post-military era is. I mean, with the military, we knew that it was a common goal to get the military out, back to the barracks, and get the civilians back into government. But in terms of fighting for or agitating for the rights, social economic rights of the people, where I think a lot of people think is where civil society should be, you think there's been enough enlightenment with the people to win them over to civil society and saying, these are the things we want, and not think that you're trying to run their businesses down, like Ronsi's saying here.
Yeah, I actually remember vividly during NSAS, while we were blocking the road, civil disobedience, people were like, want to pass and all that. And we realized that many Nigerians just want to go about their business. But what they don't understand that fighting for socio-economic issues is actually affecting their business. When you get dividends of democracy from the government, when you get right things from the government, your business will thrive. So that's basically what we are talking about. It's not necessarily about protest and all that. We didn't protest for the government to change their mind regarding the legislature. It was press conferences, press statement and all that, engaging them even physically. So citizens, especially Nigerian citizens, most of them have no idea of what the law is about. They don't even know their rights.
But you have to win them over.
Yes. So that is why continuous engagement is definitely our approach. Because this mass education of citizens is highly needed. Nigerians have been a little bit shut out from the government for a long time. Like, okay, the government are just special people. Let them do their thing. We do our thing. But in the long run, whatever the government does, it affects your 1 naira or young kobo in the country.
Very well said. I'm going to open the phone lines now. We have interesting discussion with Ayoyin Kaoni, and he looks just like he speaks. I mean, he's got hair that people would love to have, those people who don't have hair. The number to call, 0700 993 993 993. Each one has a minute in this democratic newsroom on any of the 3 stories which we're looking at. Bring back our girls' 8-year anniversary. Doleful observance, Ayobe has called it, exactly what it is. It's the worst thing at the back of your mind to have your child sent to school, and then at the end, that child ends up in the hands of terrorists. Not for 1 day, 1 week, 8 years, over 100. Story we're also having with INEC saying over 1 million, closer to 2 million than 1 million of people's doing multiple registration. Don't know how it happened, but in the last 2 years, this has happened, and INEC has said they are going to prevent them from taking part. The question, of course, has been Achike Chude saying, why did we have to wait for this long to know this was happening when they were cleaning up the register? And the third story which we're talking about, which is with the Lekki concession toll gate. The government says we suspended, but some people think they just kicked the can down the road. There's still a conflict awaiting us. So let's hear what you have to say. Hello and good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you have a minute. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra.
Sandra, go ahead quickly.
For the INEC thing, they need to tell us the region and because things can be manipulated to favor one region or the other, and we don't have to hide or doubt it. So they need to, and then we all have zoning centers and voting centers. So if they need to get those names out so that the people involved will know whether they themselves actually went there or somebody now felt that, this is APC or PDP or another party zone, to go and probably double register them and to disqualify them, because we cannot doubt anything. And for the Lekki toll gate, it was never to be told at all, and it should stop.
All right. Thank you very much, Sandra. I got a quick answer to your first question. So this affects the entire country. I've seen the breakdown of the over 1 million people who have done multiple registration. So it's the entire country that's been affected, not just one region. Hello and good evening.
Good evening, Agogo.
Great to have you, sir. What's the name, please, and where you calling?
My name is Robert.
Robert, Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the question I want to ask your guys is that during Jonathan era, this woman, Obi Ezekwesili, was very active. Bring back our guests. Bring back our guests. Why is it that this regime, she's just silent? Is she still in this country? Please, I want to know. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I can't answer the question. And Ayo Yinka is not a spokesperson for Obi Ezekwesili. But interestingly, she's been very present at the Unity Fountain in Abuja, which is where they gather, just like the Falomore roundabout, where if you go there every Saturday, you see them sitting out for the Bring Back Our Girls group. So I think that's the best I can answer. If you can track Obi Ezekwesili online, you can ask her the remainder of the question. Hello and good evening.
Hello.
All right.
Good evening.
Good to have you join us. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
My name is Anthony. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Go ahead, please, Anthony.
Yeah, I want to discuss about two issues. One, the INEC registration, multiple registration. This is a very simple thing. If anybody does double registration, all INEC need to do is to yank those ones that are not valid. Yank it off. They shouldn't make much noise about it. They know those that have done multiple registration. They should yank it off and let us move on. Then regarding to the Lekki toll gate, for me, I see it as an insult. Like I keep telling people that the military did far better than all the civilian government put together in this country. Take for example, IBB. I'm not supporting military to take over government. IBB built the longest bridge in West Africa, and it was never told. Military government, they built several good roads. It was never told. Then one single government came into power and built toll gates on 2 kilometers road, and they planted two toll gates on just 2 kilometers. They were able to complete. It's just an insult to Nigerians.
Right,
and that toll gate is on federal road, and federal government has nothing to say about it. It's a shame. It's a big shame.
Thank you very much. And I know it's a bigger conversation in the construction of road and the maintenance of road. There's big discussion around whether it should be publicly funded or public-private. And those are conversations I think that we think the government should get involved with in terms of how infrastructure. Even in the United States, they have discussions around how roads and bridges are maintained and managed over years. Sorry about that. And then I think that we will take our last call, and who'll be the fortunate one? Hello and good evening.
Hello, good evening, Agava.
Thank you for joining us. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Yeah, it's Friday from Igboleri.
Friday from Igboleri, our last caller. Go ahead, please, Friday.
Let me talk about the INEC and their staff that why do we always do like this? You know that your staff are involved. Before coming out to the public to say you have disqualified some voters, why can't you get those staff arrested first? Now that those staff, the staff that did this, they know themselves. You are come out to say your staff are involved. What are those people now find a way to escape?
All right.
Is it not? Would it not be better if they did their investigation, get those people arrested before coming out? Those people now they will find a way to escape. Then what will we do then?
Right. Thank you very much, Friday. I guess the next question where we will ask the INEC chair, whenever they come back from the holiday, how far have the investigations gone on and which of their staff been penalized? But a great discussion. They say time flies when you have a great discussion. Ayoyinka Uni. Before we let you go, I'll get your reactions to the multiple registrations. You represent the young constituency. Unfortunately, majority of the people who've been affected, new voters, mostly young people, from what we are seeing from the data. What does this?
Well, INEC needs to get their selves together. Whatever mistake is being done, it's them that they are monitoring their systems. And the issue is fire brigade approach that we love using in this country. We are preparing for 2023 election for how many years now? You should start immediately after the last election. You understand? But now we are rushing and all that, so they should not rush. Whatever is the case, it should be settled. Constitution can be amended. Date of election can be shifted. If it's few months, if it's 2 months, we have done that in this country, so that everybody that's entitled to contest to vote should vote. The mistake is from INEC, not the people. If people are trying to get into the system, it is your fault. Make sure you prevent them from disrupting your system. It's as simple as that. So that everybody that is eligible to vote will vote, and will get good candidates that will run this country.
Finally, Ione, what will you say in terms of the next step for civil society, the NSAS movement, with the toll? Because I cannot imagine that this is the end of the story.
No, definitely. Just referring to what someone asked regarding the Bring Back Our Girls issue. There are so much issue in this country. So from one story to another, and that's why it's not really as loud as that. That's the only defense I can give them. Now it's basically handsales and all that. So it's definitely not going to end here. We'll keep on pushing. Like I said to some people, another lawyer has filed another suit against the Lagos State government for trying to bring back the toll. And our issue of NSAS is not just about the Lekki toll gate. It's also about the fact that the militaries that the panel recommended to be sanctioned, even some of them to be stripped of their rank, has not been done. Some of them were promoted. The special trust fund for victims that also was requested, that's not been done. No victim have. In fact, because the government said one person died at Lekki toll, they are now accepting the fact that the panel said is 9. But even eyewitnesses and victims are saying it's even more than that. So we continue to push for justice, and we also tell the people that you can also get justice from the polls. You fought for NSAS, take that strength to the polls and vote for right candidate that will speak for you and give you justice. People got justice for military issues at 1999 during the quota panel and all that.
Right.
So that's just it.
Well, unfortunately, most of the justice they got there was never implemented.
Yes.
We just saw it on
Yes.
TV screens and recommendations.
Yeah.
We hope and pray, Ayoyinka, because we're a praying nation, that the next time we have you here, either for the observance of any of the things you're involved with, we can point back like we spoke with Ayobe and ask the question whether for the 9th year observance for the Bring Back Our Girls, all the girls have been brought back, or for the LCC, the government has now seen reason to get everyone involved in a way forward, because obviously not everyone appears to be on the same page with the tolling and every other civil rights issues we're dealing with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yinka One, Take It Back movement. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Also a pleasure having Emmanuel Onwuka here. He's always here with us. He's our man on the beat and on the move. And don't forget, elections have consequences. Register to vote. Get your PVC. Make it count. To register, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. cvr.inecnigeria.org. Hopefully you don't do a multiple registration when you get there this time. Listen to Nigeria Info wherever you are. Just download the Nigeria Info app, and then that number I reeled out to you earlier, which is Nigeria, which is 01465 7175. Again, 01465 7175. At Twitter at Nigeria Info. And I'm Aogo Obo. Next week we'll be back again to talk to you on the newsroom. 3 big issues which are of importance to every one of us. Up next, Femi and the gang will be in with Game On. Today is Monday, so it's Courtside. I've seen the crew already in, and they're playing basketball. Please stay with us. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's